The NASL's fall season is underway. See how one team has already made history. Orlando City continues to dominate USL Pro. See if our expert thinks anyone can slow down the Lions.
Señor Cubo Torres!
Yes, the man they call Kubo scored again. We'll have that for you a little later on in the show. But first, we're going to check in with the Eastern Conference. Well, the Red Bulls, the reigning Supporters Shield winner, but the team went into Saturday's game against Columbus actually outside the top 5 playoff spots. Any chance at a title run this year is squarely on the shoulders of that man, Thierry Henry, and he was at his best against the Crew. 17th minute, the nice passing sequence from New York. Great ball in by Eric Alexander, and Henry with the perfect pass to Bradley Wright Phillips for his 14th goal of the season. Red Bulls the early lead, but Columbus would find an answer shortly before halftime. Great flick here from Federico Higuain. Adam Badel, the first-time volley, brilliant goal, and just like that, it's tied at 1. We wouldn't stay tied for long, though. Final minute of the first half, Lloyd Sam, the cross in. Wright Phillips denied twice on the doorstep, but Thierry Henry, cool as you like, gives the Red Bulls the lead going into halftime. And after the break, it was more Henry. Great little pass here to put Sam into the box. The winger finishes past Steve Clark to make it 3-1, and then it was time for history. Henry somehow finding a way to play Alexander in on goal. That's an easy finish, and that makes Thierry Henry the Red Bulls' all-time assist leader with 37. He passes Tab Ramos and Amado Guevara as New York wins easily in the end. Well, we head over to the Western Conference now for a star-studded showdown. The LA Galaxy came into the weekend also outside the playoff picture, but with games in hand on the teams above them. Well, coaches will tell you those games in hand only matter if you win, and a win was what LA was looking for against second-place Real Salt Lake. There would be controversy in this one. 20th minute. Take a look at this. That's Javier Morales down behind the play after he thought he was fouled, but referee Silvio Petrescu waves play on, and eventually this sequence is going to lead to a great goal by Giassi Zardes. The Galaxy take the 1-0 lead. Nick Romano would keep his team in the game with a late penalty save, but the Galaxy get the win, and RSL coach Jeff Cassar was not happy with the officials after the game. Well, the last couple years have been tough for Chivas USA, and that's an understatement. But the club is finally fixing its off-field problems. They've gotten rid of Jorge Vergara, and a much-needed rebrand is going to happen next year. But the Goats are also heading in the right direction on the field. Don't look now, but the team went into Saturday's game on a 3-game winning streak. And a big reason for that streak, Eric Torres, he would have something to say about this game before it was done, don't worry, but Vancouver getting on the board first. Carlisle Mitchell heads in off the corner, but Chivas coming back with a corner of their own right before halftime. That's Augustin Pelletieri, and it's 1-1. And it would stay 1-1 until the 81st minute. That's when the man they call Kubo, Eric Torres, heading in his 13th of the season, does his trademark robot, and Chivas leads. The Goats at a third goal late. They win 4 games in a row for the first time since 2008. Well, with that win, Chivas closes in on a playoff spot, just 2 points behind the 5th place Whitecaps and 3 back of FC Dallas. And you see what those games in hand can do for LA. Only 4 points behind 2nd place RSL with 3 games less played. Now the other big one coming up later on Sunday, Seattle-Portland. We're recording before that game is played, but the Sounders can't lose the top spot this weekend. Moving over to the Eastern Conference now. Earlier in the week, DC United beat San Jose 2-1 to extend its lead. Yes, I said extend in the Eastern Conference. The United had the fewest points in the league last year, but I don't think they'll be going anywhere this year. Ben Olsen's rebuilt defense has been great, and some of those key attackers are finally starting to find the net. They can get Eddie Johnson going in the second half of the season. Look out. Well, the other thing that you see in the table, 2 playoff teams from last season all the way down at the bottom. Now, I don't think people expected much out of Montreal this year. One of their own players even said, "We got worse during the offseason." But the Houston Dynamo, that's not a club we're used to seeing struggle this much. Dom Kinnear's teams, they're never flashy. They're solid at the back. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. And that formula hasn't landed supporter shields, but when it comes down to it, that's not what teams play for. The Dynamo made 3 straight Eastern Conference finals and made back-to-back MLS Cups. So what's wrong with the Dynamo this year? Well, to start, they've struggled with speedy strikers, and you could see that Saturday against Toronto. We're going to go ahead and take a look at their first goal here on Saturday. This is a 3-on-3 break, but Houston can't even do anything to slow Toronto down. Oduro's in plenty of space on the right wing. No one steps to Defoe, and they're able to get an easy shot at goal and then the finish. We'll go ahead and roll it back on replay here. You see the break starting to happen. Defoe in all kinds of space. There's no communication around here. Oduro's just left wide open in the right channel. There has to be better communication from this defense. That cannot happen. Now go ahead and look at Toronto's third goal. This would be the eventual winner. We're going to go ahead and actually pause it here and take a look. Now Houston's not in a horrible position defensively. They've got David Horst, Kofi Sarkodie right here. They should be able to push Jermaine Defoe wide. They should be able to double team him. However, when you go ahead and roll the video, that's not what happened. Defoe gets the angle, is able to finish past Tally Hall. Again, it's a communication issue. We're going to go ahead and look at it again on replay. They've got two defenders here, Horst, Sarkodie. Sarkodie has to drop. There has to be communication. They can't let Defoe have that little sliver of space. He's too good. He'll take advantage. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the other problem with Houston this year, individual mistakes. This is the first goal for Toronto. Good defending by Jermaine Taylor until he lets Defoe get to the end line. And then, of course, a horrible mistake from Tally Hall, those individual mistakes. But right here, again, it's a communication issue. Taylor's there. He's got to communicate with Ricardo Clark so that they can double team Defoe and make sure this goal doesn't happen. As soon as he gets to the end line, you give the chance for the error to happen. Now, here's the last goal for Toronto. And again, this is just a pure individual mistake. Carrasco, not thinking, makes the mental error. And Defoe, that's the easiest goal that he's ever going to see in his career. Doesn't do so great with the finish, but the chance itself is the problem. It's been those kind of mistakes that have really put Houston where they are this year. Their attackers have started to click. Giles Barnes had a nice game. Brad Davis scored 2 goals. We know Oscar Boniek-Garcia is one of the better players in the league, but there has to be a better team-wide effort on defense, maybe a few upgrades on the back line. Dom Kinnear says he will be looking to upgrade everywhere on the field before the transfer window closes. We're going to keep a close eye on what moves Houston makes during the summer. The NASL is back. The league kicked off its fall season on Saturday, and there was already a significant piece of history. Expansion side, Indy 11 finished with only 4 points from 9 games during the spring season, and all 4 of those points were from draws, which means they've never won a game in club history. And it didn't look like Indy would get that first win anytime soon. The Carolina Railhawks, their opponent, riding a 17-game home unbeaten streak against NASL competition, and the Railhawks would strike first. Zach Shalowski wins the ball back. He's going to feed Enzo Martinez, going to make a little space for himself, then fire home, and it looked like Carolina would have no problem extending both team streaks. Indy 11 had other ideas, though. 65th minute, Leo Osaki, a big defensive mistake, and Ben Spencer, the easy goal to tie it at 1. Indy wasn't done yet. 87th minute now. Dylan Mayers, a great pass in there to spring Don Smart, who finds the back of the net to make it 2-1, and that is how it would end. Indy 11 gets its first win in club history. Well, the NASL is just getting started, but the USL Pro already in full swing. Coming up, an in-depth look at the league with today's guest, ODFC's Danny Shapiro. Taking a quick look at the USL Pro weekend results, Orlando City continues its rampage through the club's final season before moving up to MLS. Richmond still with a firm hold on second place, but it doesn't look like the Kickers will be able to catch Orlando before the playoffs. They're a full 10 points behind. There was some movement, though, at the bottom of the table. Arizona United FC gets out of the basement with a win over the Orange County Blues. Arizona United, a great segue to welcome in this week's guest, Danny Shapiro. He writes for ODFCnews.com. He covers the team, Arizona United. Danny, thanks for joining us. We tried to get you on last week, had a little bit of technical difficulty, so hopefully it'll go better this week. So United finally gets a win yesterday. Give us a little rundown of kind of that and then Arizona's season overall.
Well, yeah, it's funny. United hadn't won since June 14th, and they've really just had a rough patch. They had a couple points deducted. They hadn't been playing very well. And yesterday they actually went into Orange County, and they played their best game in a long time. They got a new forward, Long Tan, a former MLS guy with Portland, and he really helped shore up that attack a little bit, gave it a little depth. It really helped out the squad a little bit, and it was really nice to see, them actually be able to move the ball, put it forward, and honestly, they outplayed Orange County, and it was just something that we haven't seen very much from United recently. So it was good to see them go ahead and actually put attacks together, put the ball in the back of the net, and able to hold the lead. So.
Do you think that there's any chance that maybe even boosted by Long Tan and they're looking like they're playing a little better? It's still kind of a tight race for those last couple playoff spots. Is there any chance they can put a run together here and maybe get into the USL playoffs?
They could. I feel like they've had some bad luck with some of the results. So, I mean, if they kind of start getting some bounces going their way, absolutely they can go ahead and, climb into an eighth spot. They're playing OKC on Thursday, and OKC is the holder of that eighth spot right now. And if they do that, they'll only be 2 points behind them with, a quarter of the season to go. So, yeah, I mean, they've definitely got a shot. Their biggest issue is they're going to have to keep winning on the road. They've only got 4 home games left, and they've only won 2 road games all season. So they're really going to have to go ahead and start winning on the road, getting results on the road. But if they can do that, absolutely, they can definitely climb back in. They're not that far away.
Now going to the other end of the table, the top, Orlando City's still up there. This is their last season before they go to MLS, and they're just rampaging through the league right now. There's no stopping them. Do you think anybody can beat them? I mean, it looks like they're obviously going to make the playoffs. Do you think anybody can beat them once we get to the playoffs?
I think the one team that has a possibility of going ahead and beating them is Los Angeles Galaxy too. But the problem with that is they've had a couple players just play so well that they've been called up to the first squad, and it's kind of weakening the team a little bit. Guys like Jameson and that, it's just if they can keep those guys in the Galaxy too for the rest of the season, then yeah, absolutely they have a chance any given day to beat them. But other than that, Orlando City is just playing so well and has played so well all season. It is really hard to see anyone kind of going ahead and knocking them out of the playoffs.
Well, you mentioned LA Galaxy losing some of those players to the parent club, and obviously this is the first experiment we've had with the USL reserve, the full MLS reserve team in the USL division. How have you seen this USL MLS Pro or MLS partnership work? Do you think it's been good for the league?
Yeah, I think it's been wonderful. It gives some guys who, if they're on the first team, wouldn't have as much playing time. They're getting consistent playing time. They're getting their fitness up. They're just really honing their skills a lot better than if they're sitting on the bench, every match, maybe getting a few minutes every game. They're actually getting the opportunity to go ahead and play and, score goals and defend and do whatever they need to. I've seen that, especially with Chivas USA. They had their reserve team come here, and they trounced United 4-0. And you could tell, they have guys on that team that are first team capable, and the fact that they're actually getting minutes is great. And of course, Galaxy too, what they've done. And even when Galaxy played here, the first team played here for their U.S. Open Cup game when they were on the World Cup break. A guy like Zardes has just done amazing, and he scored another wonderful goal last night. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it really is helping the development of some of the younger players in this league, and it could really help them going forward.
One of the things that's been talked about a lot with the World Cup and the USA making it pretty far is this kind of bump maybe in not soccer popularity, but people watching American soccer leagues. And MLS has already reported some streaming numbers and things like that. Promotion relegation is entirely another conversation, but until that happens, the only way for these USL teams to get anywhere is what Orlando City does, where they are accepted as an expansion franchise. So what do you kind of see the future of USL Pro being maybe for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to be pretty fluid because there's going to be a lot of teams in and out. Some teams are just not going to have that financial support. Keep going. There's going to be teams like Orlando City that are going to go up to the first division. It's another team that really is interesting to me is Sacramento Republic because they just have a wonderful support system there. And just as an expansion club, they've got their own stadium. They sold out 20,000 for their start, and now they're getting 8,000 selling out every game. So, I mean, there's clubs like that have another legitimate chance to go up, even though it's so close to San Jose. I think it's just going to be really fluid because there's lots of teams that are going to be coming in and out of the league, moving up and down. So, it's hard to tell really, but I think there's going to be a lot of fluidity. Don't expect a lot of the same teams to be in the league every single year. I mean, think even just United They didn't even have the squad last year. They had Phoenix FC Wolves. So there's going to be a lot of change, I think.
As far as Arizona United, how's the support been for that team? What do you see?
Well, they've got a good supporters group in LFR 1881. They're the biggest at every game. They walk the field before the game. They do their whole thing, and it's great to see a supporters group out there. As for just regular fans, they draw about 2,000 a game, which for location and I mean they play in a spring training stadium, so just the dimensions and trying to get a lot of fans in seats, and especially good seats, it's not very easy. So the fact that they're getting 2,200, especially when this time of year it's at 7 o'clock kickoff, it's 105 degrees. They're not doing too poorly on attendance, and United their promotional team of spreading the word and really getting a lot of publicity for the team. So yeah, they're making their way.
Do you know if there's any plan from the ownership group to try and push for their own stadium or maybe a better venue? I know you mentioned it, the playing at the baseball stadium is a little bit tough. Is there any plan that you think?
I think there is. I think the biggest issue is trying to find a place for it. Because, I mean, last year Phoenix FC, they used Arizona State, they used their women's soccer team, and they were going to have this whole partnership to use that and renovate it and make more people, more seats and everything, and that just didn't work out, unfortunately. And there's just not a lot of places. Talking to my boss, he noted a couple places, near the airport, but they could run into issues there because it's, government-owned land, and they could take it whenever. So it's kind of a scary thought to try to build a stadium there. But the good thing about using the Peoria Sports Complex where they play, where, they have spring training for the Rangers, it's very good, not the Rangers, for the Padres. And yeah, it's just very good with the fact that they can actually go there, and they're able to go in right away. They didn't have to really make any changes. They could have just gone in right away. And I mean, the team was only founded a couple weeks before they actually started the season, so it was a place where it was already built. There was all the facilities already necessary practice-wise. They're already good to go, which is why they used it, and I completely understand why they did. But yeah, absolutely. I know they're going to want something in the future. The only big issue is finding somewhere, especially because Phoenix is very spread out in terms of city space. We're trying to find a central location to cater to all things around the valley. It's not going to be easy, so it's going to be a long process trying to find something and get some going, but I think it's going to be possible.
He writes for odfcnews.com. Danny Shapiro, thank you so much for joining us. We'll hope Arizona can get a couple more wins. Check in with you maybe if they're making a playoff chase. That'd be good. Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate you having me on.